Hello and welcome back to Barbells and Battlefields for another segment of Saiyan Strongman Steroid Cycle. The last time we did this video, I think I went over February, and at the time we revised the cycle to actually bring down the dosages because one of our competitions got delayed. That being said, through March we did ramp it back up to our previous January numbers. And we're going to be talking April today. So, in February, or rather March, we left off with a total of 500 milligrams of tests per week, split into 300 milligrams of test C and 200 milligrams of test P, and then 150 milligrams of EQ alongside 2 milligrams of Arimidex per week. Now, I may or may not be competing in May. I reached out to the promoter of the show that my girlfriend's going to be competing at. I haven't quite gotten a response yet, so I'm not sure if I'll be competing. But just in case, we are going to ramp up the numbers pretty significantly. So, little tidbit, I got over the amount of volume for the test P, because the test P is dosed at 100 milligrams per cc, while the test C is dosed at 300 milligrams per cc. So to get 200 milligrams of test P is quite a lot of fluid and volume, and with the increase of the EQ, I didn't find it necessary to continue using test P, at least in this moment. So we switched it fully over to test C at 600 milligrams per week. The EQ is also going to match that at 600 milligrams per week. We'll run that at a 1-to-1 ratio. And the Arimidex can stay about the same at 2 milligrams per week. If I feel that I need to increase the Arimidex dosage because I have any kind of signs of high estrogen, whether it be physical signs, mental signs, or blood work that shows me that the estrogen is too high. But for now, 2 milligrams a week should be suffice. The EQ does not aromatize into estrogen, so you don't have to worry about extra aromatization from the EQ itself. Now we're starting to play with, I'm starting to play with big boy numbers with the 600, but that's only because I may be competing in May, and it would be too late in April or rather too late in May to ramp it up. So yeah, pretty simple this video. We're not doing too much change, just a pretty significant increase on the dosages. If I do end up competing in May, you'll see a lot of short ester. We talked about esters previously. Esters are what control how quickly the substance basically releases in your blood and how long it lasts. So because we're not sure and we might not know until May-ish time, you'll see a lot of short ester stuff like nandrolone phenylpropionate, which is fast-acting DECA, maybe some Tren Ace, things like that. But moving on, now we're going to talk a little, or we're actually going to go over a really good question that we received in the comments on the previous video. So, Monty Moves asks, so you say you only have so many blasts, so can you completely cycle off test eventually? How long does someone typically cycle without affecting the ability to produce naturally? So this is a lot of questions. It's a great question with a lot of moving parts and variables. But as soon as you begin the use of exogenous testosterone, your natural production of test and sperm is suppressed. The suppression becomes more significant the longer you use and the more you use. And if you use more substances besides testosterone, that's definitely going to increase. But if we're strictly talking test, a 6 to 12 month cycle with a proper post-cycle therapy afterwards is a typical system. However, years of cycling will still have profound effects over time on your natural production. But this all being said, you also have to use significant portions of users like myself who don't come off test, right? And in that case, what we do what's called an on-cycle therapy, which is the same principle as a post-cycle therapy, but essentially it aims to keep your sperm production and your test production somewhat functional, although you'll be continuously abusing or using testosterone. And yeah, true, you do only have so many blasts in the tank, and you never know what that number is. Eventually, you're going to do a cycle that you normally do, and you're going to go get your blood work done, and your blood work's going to come back a lot worse than usual. These things catch up to you. So you got to be wise. If you are going to do something stupid like this, of course, always consult a doctor. Be safe about it. And yeah, so you do only have so many blasts. Don't go crazy when it's an off season and you don't even know if you're ever going to compete. There's no point, guys. Also, a little tidbit, there will be a disclaimer regardless in the beginning of the video, but I did forget to say, as always, I am not a doctor or physician of any kind, nor am I advising or instructing anybody on the use of performance-enhancing drugs. We are just talking about what somebody like myself uses for the sake of performance-enhancing drugs. Now, one thing I didn't go over with the cycle that I just did remember that's very important. I did add in last month 2 healing peptides that have become very popular over the past few years, BPC 157 and TB 500. We're going to go over these healing peptides in a lot more detail in a future video. But for now, the basics of what you need to know is that they are healing peptides that are very effective. Mitchell Hooper, for example, is a huge advocate. Talks about a lot of his use of healing peptides. And if you're a strongman or a powerlifter, they're going to come in real handy with all the injuries and beating and battering that we do to our bodies on a daily basis and over the years especially. But even if you aren't doing something like that, BPC and TB 500 are really a great additive for your overall health. Once again, the legality varies by region and state, so look into that, of course, before you even consider that, and of course, consult your doctor. But it is something to consider if you go down all the correct paths to do so. But anyway, I think that's going to wrap up our going over the cycle for today. Thanks for joining. Like and subscribe to Barbells and Battlefields. Hit that notification bell. And like Monty Moves had, a great question. Whether you have a dumb question, a great question, or whatever kind of question you think it is, please leave it in the comments for us. And we'll try and respond to you in the next one. See you next time.